Today I'm joined by Lea Barta. Nominated by Casey Gophers in the previous interview. Lea is Olympian 2016, representing Australia in water polo. Biggest achievement, silver medalist at the World Championships 2013, bronze medalist at the World Championships 2019. Welcome, Lea.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to join you today.
Cool. After all that time, we made it. Took a bit of
We
time.
got there.
We got there. Hey, how did you get into water polo?
So when I was younger, I played every land sport on the planet. I played netball, touch football. I was running on the sand in our surf lifesaving tournaments. And I could swim, but I was never a big water sport athlete. And I was competitive at the land sports, and I loved sport in general, and I always did my best, and I got into state teams and squads and things, and then I started high school, and the year before I started high school was the Sydney 2000 Olympics, and when I started high school, in front of me, sitting in my roll call class, taking my name, was the Sydney 2000 Olympian gold medalist for women's water polo, Debbie Watson. And I was just in awe. I'd heard about water polo only through the Sydney Olympics, and those women have such an amazing story. It was shared, and it was just incredible. And hearing about them win the gold medal and everything, I was in awe when the Olympics were on. And then right in front of me, there was the woman herself, and she was holding tryouts for water polo. And I went on down, and I think they figured out pretty quickly that I wasn't the strongest swimmer in the group. So they put me in goals, and it worked out. Originally, I was just there to find out more about Debbie Watson because she was so amazing. And then next minute, I know I'm in goals and saving goals and loving it. And it kind of went on from there.
At what age was that?
I would have been probably about 13, I think. Yeah, 13 going on 14.
Okay. In your life as an athlete, what was your darkest moment?
Yeah. Oh, good question. I think probably the hardest memory in my career was in the Rio Olympics. Our quarterfinal was against Hungary. It was a do or die match. So in the 2016 Olympics for water polo, your round games are to place you for your quarterfinal game. But at the quarterfinals, if you get knocked out, you're no longer in contention for a medal. And it's anyone's game. Everybody gets a shot at a quarterfinal in the Rio 2016 Olympics. So that was a really, really important game. And we were up to start, and we kind of let them back in the game right towards the end. And then it went to a penalty shootout, and they got the better of us in a penalty shootout. And in the moment, I don't remember being concerned about the score. I knew it was an important game, but I don't remember the clock weighing on me or anything. But the moment I got out of the pool and realized what had happened, it even gives me shivers now. It was like the most sinking, it was the most awful feeling. I remember there was press as we walked out of the stadium. There was press, and I just couldn't even look at them. There was no way I could have done an interview at that point. We went back to our rooms that night, and I don't even know I don't think I spoke to anybody. Took the longest shower I've had in ever, and just it was awful. It was the feeling of working for so long. It was my first Olympics, and we were a very, very good team, and we'd worked so hard for so long, and I'd overcome injuries to get there. It was shattering. Earth-shattering. All my life up to that point, especially in the prior 4 years, had been for that Olympics, and to have that all taken away, it was like my dreams were shattered. It was a real sense of loss of self, and to know that we would be coming home from an Olympics without what we set out to get, and how what I was gonna do from there. I never really planned for the scenario of coming home empty-handed, and it was heartbreaking, absolutely heartbreaking. Yeah. Oh. Going back to that place is hard.
I believe that. What did you learn from that moment?
I think it took me a very, very long time to pull myself out of that dark space. I actually didn't get in the water for a really long time after that. And I realize now that the water is my like happy place. It's my place of serenity and calm. And at the time I couldn't get in the water emotionally, but now looking back, I realize that's something I really need to get back to. You know, if that's my place of happiness and my place of joy, then even if things aren't going well, I should always get back in the water. And I think the thing that really pulled me out of it was when I came back to Australia, a lot of my relatives had children, and their schools were asking if I would come and talk to them. And when I was talking to the kids, I realized that, you know, these kids, they just love the fact that, you know, I'm sharing my story, and it doesn't matter to them what happened exactly during the games. They just love the fact that there was someone in front of them talking about how they got to an Olympics. And I realized that when I was talking to the kids, I was telling them to go chase their dreams, and if they had a passion, they should follow it. And here I still had a passion and I still had a dream. I just had a setback. So how could I be telling them to keep striving and never give up if I wasn't going to do that myself? So that was probably the turning point for me. I realized that I'm telling these kids that they should never give up and they should always keep trying, and why I'm not applying that to myself. So I got back in the pool and I felt immediately 1,000 times better. And then started to work towards what was then Tokyo 2020.
And funny you mentioned that, because there was what I've noted down here, the quarterfinals at the Rio Olympics and the penalty shootout. Were you the goalie on the penalty shootout?
Yes, I was. That's correct.
I know in the football world, they always say in the penalty shootout, the striker can only lose and the goalie can only win because you're expected to not keep the ball. Is that also how it feels as a goalie?
Yeah, I mean, I never really apply that logic because I'm so competitive that I want to save every ball anyway. So in those dark times, I was replaying every single shot 1,000 times in my head. How could I have jumped differently? How could I move this way? How could I move that way? What could I have done different in those moments to have changed the result? But, you know, it's too late. When I'm thinking about it that night, it's too late to change it. Our team always has the feeling that if it comes down to a penalty shootout, that's what it is. And neither the shooter nor the goalkeeper takes the ownership for the win or the loss. That's the opinion of our group. If we are successful, then everyone gets a pat on the back. If we're unsuccessful, then we all carry the defeat together.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. I've had a chat with someone who, in the track and field at the Olympics, the 4x100 meter relay, he received the stick and the stick fell, so the team was disqualified.
Oh.
And he said the same thing, the whole team, so not only the person who gave the stick, nor the person who took it, the whole team took ownership and said, no, it is what it is, let's move on.
Yes. Unfortunately, that's sport, and unfortunately, that's the way that our sport decides a draw. I can think of a couple of different ways we could run it, but that's the way we do, and we got to live with that.
Yeah.
Through good and bad.
What was your best moment?
I think this for me is a common question in a lot of interviews or surveys and things. I find it really difficult to answer. I'm lucky that I've been in some wonderful teams and we've had some amazing experiences. But I think the thing for me, the best moments are the times when I call it like the flying feeling. Some people say the zone or in the zone, but for me, I call it the flying feeling because it's times when I just feel like the world drops away. There's just me and the ball and my teammates, and it's effortless, like completely effortless. I'm existing in the seconds in front of me. I don't even know what's really happening, but everything goes right. It's like a flying, like I can see everything, I can hear everything. I'm in the very second in front of my face. There's nothing else. It doesn't matter what the crowd's doing. It doesn't matter what the scoreboard's doing or the refs. It's just the ball, and I can see it all. And it's as if it's in slow motion. And the times like that, they're addictive. They don't happen every game. And sometimes they don't happen for multiple games, but when they do happen, oh my gosh, it's so addictive. And the dream of having that sensation or that kind of performance at Olympic Games or in the games in the Olympics is so it's what keeps me coming back. I haven't really been able to find that flying sensation or that feeling in any other aspect of my life. So trying to perfect it and bring it out in the biggest games and the biggest moments of my life would be just sheer joy, like that would be just absolute happiness. To be able to do that at the peak of my sport would be awesome.
And what do you think contributes to that feeling? I mean, what are the things that have to fall in place in order for that feeling to appear?
I often ask myself this because it would be great. I've read a lot of books on different people talking about the zone, and no one really has the exact answer. It's kind of like the special makeup that works for you. And I've got a series of strategies that I use before games to try and get me as close as I possibly can to that point. But I actually don't know what does the flick. I try and perform a routine before each performance that's roughly the same with minor changes, and if refs are doing things differently before the game, etc. But that routine is designed to try and bring me to a space that allows me to go into that zone space as often as possible. It doesn't always happen, as I said, but the goal is to try and get there as often as possible.
If you could travel back in time, 10, 15, maybe 20 years, what advice would you give a younger Lea?
Oh, wow. That is a very good question. I think I'm prone to overthinking. So when I'm not present, as I've talking about the flying feeling thing, when I'm not in that space, my brain goes 100 miles an hour. So I think probably what I would go back and tell my younger self is just trying to be in the moment, to keep calm. I used to use lots of music in my pre-game routine, and that would, I was thinking that would bring me really high and I'd be super energetic, and but I think a lot of the time I was probably in a state of like over excitement, and going back now, I'd say probably don't try that so often. Just try and be calm, try and be grounded, stay relaxed, just be with the ball and play the seconds in front of your face. And try not to overthink everything. I think especially when I get stressed, I tend to overthink things. So just reminding myself to get out of my head and be in the moment.
Yeah, and that's actually also what you said about this. You call it the zone. I think the first time that phenomenon was explained was by Csikszentmihalyi, a Hungarian scientist. He calls it the flow, and he exactly says that in that moment there is no thinking, because everything you do is kind of within your zone of genius. So don't think. What are the habits that make you a successful athlete in person?
I think for me, I wouldn't consider myself the most technical goalkeeper. I think if you looked at if you were trying to teach someone how to be a goalkeeper, you probably wouldn't teach them my style, because it's not particularly technical. But I think for me, I'm crazy competitive, and I'm prepared to work hard for that. And I always want to be the best in myself, and I want to improve in all facets of my life. And I think that is probably the main habit that has kept me where I am, performing at an elite level. I want the best. I want to give my best every single time I get in, and whether that's in a technical way or whether that's just putting your body behind the ball, I'm prepared to do it. But things that keep me able to play the sport at this level for, quite a while now are things like doing the right thing in the gym, making sure all my rehabs completed before I hop in. I do Pilates a lot to try and look after my spine. And, if there's extra work that needs to be done, I'll stay in the pool after training to complete my jumps or complete some technical work that I might need to do if I need to progress a movement. Or I'll actually ask players to shoot particular shots at me. So if there's something that I need to practice for a game coming up, or I feel like I haven't got the movement right for a particular style of shot, I'll ask the girls to stay in the pool and help me out with shooting a particular thing that I ask, so I can practice that specific movement. So I think for me, it would just be always trying to leave my absolute best in every scenario. So pushing myself to give everything I have to what I'm trying to achieve in that moment. Yeah.
And I saw, sorry, you have to help me out here. Your maiden name is?
Yes, so my maiden name is Barta, and I married a Greek guy called Andrew Yanitsis. So my married name is Lea Yanitsis.
Oh, okay. So I thought it's the other way around. Okay. No, that's
okay.
No, then what I was thinking is, because I've spoken to a few people who actually have Greek roots, Australians, and they thought that has helped them to be competitive, but you don't have the Greek roots. So let's not go there.
My husband would definitely say that marrying a Greek guy has improved my performance.
It has to be.
He would always say it's been of benefit.
Do you have a morning routine?
I did. I had a definite morning routine. It was pretty simple. Our trainings are very early in the morning. So set the alarm, wake up, coffee, just a straight shot of coffee with just 2 slices of bread and some peanut butter. Jump in the car and hop in the pool, do some rehab, and then hop in the pool for training. And then kind of day starts from there. These days is a little bit different. My little boy is now 18 months old, and he disrupts pretty much every routine that I would ever try to set. So it's kind of a bit of a shambles in the morning. I definitely think coffee is a major part of my morning wake up, and something to eat to get me going for energy. Now that we're in the middle of kind of shutdowns at the moment, morning routines change nearly every day. Our beaches are open, and that's where I've been trying to do some swimming and some leg work. And sometimes they're only letting us in the water at particular hours. So this last week I've woken up early before baby does to try and get a swim in before my husband goes to work. But yeah, so every day is different at the moment. When we're back into training, it's very often coffee, get in the car, go to training, come home.
So if you look at your preparation towards Rio 2016 and now your preparation towards Tokyo 2021 with having a baby, how has life changed being a mom and an athlete at the same time?
It's a considerable change. I think probably the biggest difference is not being able to follow a strict schedule. I would love to say that my baby is a robot, but unfortunately or fortunately, whichever way you look at it, he doesn't respond to what I say every single time. So it's probably the trickiest thing has been trying to prepare for my games the same way as I used to. In the past, I would have a definite, plan heading into games on the weekend. My day would be somewhat structured to include all the things that I liked to do. These days, if I have my son before the game, it's a lot of the time what he wants to do, and maybe mummy can squeeze around some things that she likes, i.e. coffee and food. But that doesn't always go to plan. Probably the trickiest part of the adjustment now that I have a little boy is trying to make sure that I've got enough like babysitting care for him. So, I mean, obviously when I'm in the water, he needs to have someone looking after him. And we're in the water a lot. So training is, multiple hours a day, 2 to 3 sessions. And my husband works and also coaches water polo. So he's out a lot of the day as well. So we are like ridiculously lucky to have the family support we do. There is no way that I would be able to do or dream as big as I have without the support from our family and friends. My father comes and looks after Dino sometimes all day. My mother-in-law also looks after Dino all day on occasions, and sometimes both our parents have had to look after Dino when Andrew and myself have been out of the country. So it's like I'm so grateful for the help of my family and friends, because there's no way that I could be a mum and try and go to Olympics without the support of people that are able to look after our son when we're busy training or working. And I think the scheduling of that and the organization of that has probably been the trickiest thing, not to mention the sleep deprivation initially. That was a whole new level of of zombiness. But yeah, no, we're very fortunate that we have the support around us to let us dream as big as we do.
So, considering you had a baby, I assume you were out of the national team for some time. So, getting back into it, do you have to fight a bit harder for your spot?
Yeah. So I was able to play our Australian National League while I was pregnant. So I had my son at the end of 2018. So I was out for the international season of 2018 when I was pregnant. And when I was pregnant, I did always want to get back onto the national team. It was kind of like it was a major dream. At the time, I thought it was super far-fetched. I didn't know how I was going to do it. I didn't know how our family was going to work or look, or, I didn't know if I would still want to play. But I made sure I trained the whole way through my pregnancy. Not necessarily taking balls in goals, but kept fit and kept strong through my pregnancy, so that I would be in the best position to come back to the national team if that was something that I was able to achieve from a resources sleep deprivation perspective. And those first few months coming back were a blur. I remember just being up at 1 a.m. with Dino, up at 2 a.m. with Dino, up at 3 a.m. with Dino, up at 4 a.m. to get to training. And then my husband took over, did 5 a.m., 6 a.m. It was an absolute blur. And I'm so lucky that I had the coaching staff, that I did, because they were just incredible. How they individualized my training was so important. And it certainly helped me in getting back as fast as I possibly could, but in a smart, progressive way, and making sure that they didn't burn me too quick or injure me when I was coming back. I also had an amazing strength and conditioning and physiotherapy team that worked with me during that time. And, you know, initially when I did get back in the pool, it felt terrible. It felt great because I could finally get back in the pool, and my hips felt amazing, but it felt terrible. My brain was telling my body to do things, and they weren't happening like I expected them to happen. So I had a lot of work ahead of me, and you know, and from a strength perspective as well, I knew that my explosive strength wasn't there. I probably got myself back to a fairly good, you know, basic strength, but I didn't have my explosive strength back straight away. So that was something that took time to develop, and that was very difficult. And, you know, but I also think that the easiest part of all that was actually training, because, you know, I knew how to train. I'd been training for, thousands of years already. You know, that wasn't necessarily the hardest part. The hardest part was all the sleep deprivation and the organization of family, and then I was trying to breastfeed at the same time, and that was very difficult. And yeah, so I think the training actually came easy. I knew how to train, I knew how to develop myself, and I knew how to progress with my goals, and that came more easily than I had expected. It still took a lot of effort and exhaustion, but got there in the end.
Cool. How do you prepare for important moments?
So I try to do everything I possibly can to get myself into a space where I can get into that that zone kind of place. And for me, that looks like you know, in the morning doing the right things. So getting up, you know, with enough time before the game, having something to eat, a coffee. If the game's a bit later in the day, just making sure that you know, I mean, I don't nap these days, but when I used to nap, making sure that I was up early enough to be alert for the game. And then I like to get to the pool with enough time so that I'm not stressing about travel or parking or that kind of thing. And then once I'm at the pool, making sure I do my rehab. So that's switching on all the little muscles so that everything's working like a clock or a clog. And then we get into our when I'm doing my rehab, I also run through kind of the tactics that we've discussed for the game, and particular shooters, and running through where they shoot, what kind of shots they like to what kind of like style of shot they take, and kind of think about that a bit. And then we'll do our team land warm-up, and then we'll do our team pool warm-up, and then often they'll pull us out of the pool and there'll be some kind of like lineup or national anthem kind of thing. And during that, when they ask players to, when you do the lineup, essentially, I like to visualize as they call the player. I'll imagine them shooting and me saving it. So it's like, obviously not the goalie, but like number 2, and I imagine their shot and how and myself saving it, and then sing the national anthem loud and clear, and then come back together as a group and you know, reaffirm the tactics and jump in the pool, get ready for the game. So I kind of follow that process for every game, and then hoping that brings me into the best possible state to perform. And then if I find if in the game things are going off track, I have like kind of reset words that help me refocus on the ball, essentially. All the reset words are pretty much like just follow the ball. That's it, really.
Okay, cool. How do you overcome setbacks?
Yeah, I think it depends on the circumstances. If I've got loads of time, like, you know, the Olympics being moved or shifted, and I'm able to, you know, really think about it, I'll try and practice gratitude. So, so trying to find the positives in each scenario, and how I can continue to improve in this time, and what I can do to get better even with the challenges that we have at the moment. And just being grateful for the little things that I do have. You know, in this time, I'm able to be with my family. I can really focus on my rehab in this time, etc., etc. In the pool, there's definitely not enough time to have a good think about it and be grateful for every moment. So a lot of the time, I'm just focusing on the ball, staying in the moment, forgetting. Not necessarily forgetting, like learning from the experience and moving on, because the only thing I can affect is the 2 seconds in front of my face, and I can't go back. And I think the other thing that motivates me in those times is knowing that if I'm actually not in the moment, what am I really doing there? You know, like I've got a beautiful baby boy at home. If I'm not prepared to stay in the moment in the pool, I'm wasting my time. I'm wasting his time. And I don't let that worry me. I just let that focus me. You know, like if you're not present, what are you doing? Because you have a very important thing at home that you need to look after. So you better make sure that you're using your time in the pool really well. And the only way you can use your time in the pool really well is by being in the moment. So I think that keeps me motivated as well.
Yeah. Who's your role model and why?
Ooh, I have, I don't know if I can pick just one. I have lots of role models. Probably when I was just starting off, I think it changes across my career, or it has changed across my career. Starting off, it was Kathy Freeman. She's a 400-meter runner that won in the 2000 Olympics, and she's just incredible. And then also Debbie Watson. When I first started water polo, she was my idol. I wanted to be everything about her. And then as I started working, so I was very lucky to be given the opportunity to work with the girls from the Beijing 2008 squad. And I got to meet the goalkeeper, Alicia McCormack, for that Olympics. And she was amazing. She was you know, 2-time bronze medalist and an incredible woman and an incredible goalkeeper. And she taught me a lot about her style and how she played and her mindset. And that was really, really helpful. And then also she coached me prior to the Rio Olympics as my club coach, which was incredible, along with Debbie Watson. So that was a really cool turn of events, have Debbie Watson and Alicia McCormack coaching me before the Rio Olympics. That was amazing. These days, I don't know, I find inspiration in lots of different things. I'm inspired daily by my teammates. I think it takes a lot to show up when the chips are down, or show up when you feel awful and you just want to throw in the towel, but you don't, because you know that the girls around you are fighting for the same dream. And you know, you don't necessarily find that in every workplace. You know, I think it's a special group of people that show up even when they don't want to, because of the girl standing next to them. So I find that pretty inspirational. And then, you know, I have an incredible group of friends, very, very talented sportswomen, doing different things. One runs for Australia, one plays touch football for New Zealand. You know, the stuff they do on a daily basis and the challenges they have inspire me. And then all my mates that are mothers, I find that incredible. They're kicking mummy goals. They're, you know, working full time. They've got 2 kids. They're juggling work. They're juggling sport. Like, yeah, I think I find lots of inspiration in lots of different avenues these days.
Cool. What is the best advice you received, and who gave it to you?
How do you pick just one? I wonder if I don't know if mine necessarily came from a person in particular. One of the best quotes that has carried me through my whole career has been one from Thomas Edison, the inventor of the modern light bulb, who did like 10,000 or something experiments to get it right. And he says most of life's failures are people who did not realize how close they were to success when they gave up. And I think I've always loved that, because possibly because I'm not necessarily the most talented or the most technical, or I probably lost more times than I've won. But I think it's always stuck by me that to never give in and to never give up. And I think that's why it resonates so strong with me to, like that it's just around the corner. Percentage wise, the more you fail, the more likely you are the next time to win. So I think that's always been incredibly motivating for me. It's carried me through a lot in my career. Injuries, setbacks, losses. It's always carried me through.
Yeah. Yeah, he also said something along these lines, very similar to what you just said. I haven't failed 10,000 times. I found 10,000 better ways to do things, or something like that.
Yes, yes. Yeah. He's amazing.
Yeah.
Oh.
How does a typical training day look like?
Well, these days very different. But so let's go back to when we were in full training. We would have pool sessions in the mornings, every morning, and then gym would be after pool 3 times a week, and then we'd have club sessions or national team sessions every night bar Wednesday. So the day was pretty full with training, and a lot of the times, we're together for sometimes 5 hours in the morning, sometimes 6 hours, and then together again at night. And the middle of the day is, for me, is used for looking after Dino and being with him, and things like any rehab you need to do, if you need to do cross training or like Pilates type exercise or physio, or other like learning or study or work stuff. Yeah, so it's pretty full day.
Cool. So what else is going on in Lea's life at this moment in time? Sport, mother, what else?
Yeah, so I'm also a trained physiotherapist, and I was working at a hospital in Sydney as a women's health physio. So that's a physio that looks after things related to women's health. And I was loving that, but I've since had to put that on hold to try and pursue this second Olympics. So just trying to keep myself up to date with that. I've started my master's in women's health physiotherapy. That's also on hold at the moment. I'm just waiting back to hear from uni whether I can start that back up again. But at the moment, my days are filled with mostly entertaining my 18-month-old, which is pretty challenging at the moment, actually. Our playgrounds are closed off for now. So I'm finding it very hard, especially on the days when we're stuck inside when it's raining. I'm finding it challenging to keep him occupied and entertained. We do a lot of singing and nursery rhymes.
Okay. Do you want to nominate someone to be interviewed?
Oh, I don't know if I have an Olympian nomination.
You already mentioned 3 names: Debbie Watson, Katie Freeman, and...
Yeah, Alicia McCormack. Am I allowed to nominate them?
Of course.
Yeah, okay. They're still water polo. Is that all right? I don't know Kathy Freeman personally, but I can definitely hook you up with Alicia McCormack and Debbie Watson.
I see. That will be cool.
Yeah, okay. Awesome. I'll do that.
Where can people find you?
Yeah, so I'm probably on the basic social media platforms. My name is Lea Yanitsis, on different things. So I think LinkedIn, it's just Lea Yanitsis, spelled Yanitsas. On Instagram, I think I've got a dot in there somewhere, or an underscore, Lea_Yanitsis. And then Twitter, I'm just at Lea Nitzis. Just trying to keep it straight.
I'll find out and link it up.
Thank you so much.
Lea, thanks a lot for your time. That was awesome.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure.